CPA firm culture is not meeting current CPA's needs, right? People don't want to work 24/7. And actually, I shouldn't say that because people are willing to work 24/7. They just don't want to work 15 hours a day. They want to work on their time when right for them. And they're willing to work hard, but they want flexibility. And so the old school culture is not meeting their needs. We have trashed the oppressive timesheet and embraced value or fixed pricing. And I think that has to do with technology because, and this is something that I learned from Renee 9 years ago when he had his product called PayCycle. And it took me 2 minutes to process payroll. And I realized at that time that something fundamentally had to change because either I was going to be processing, 10,000 clients' payroll and charging them all 2 minutes, or I had a charge based on something other than time. And so I think the technology has caught up with the value pricing idea, and Ron Baker's been preaching it for 20 years. But I think now's the time because the technology really supports the new model of pricing. And I think if you look out in the marketplace now, the AICPA and the industry publications and the technology vendors and everyone now supporting this new way of doing business. 5 years ago, it wasn't such. I was the disruptor. I was the weirdo. But now, if you look out at everybody's talking about how we as CPAs or we as accountants have to change our business model if we want to remain relevant moving forward. Technology has really leveled the playing field, but I'm going to take it back to it's not about the tech. It's about the transformational relationship that you're going to have with your client that the tech enables. Or the transformational relationship you're going to have with your client over social media, but it's not about the social media itself. It's about that relationship that fundamentally changes, which is good and bad. And that's what we really have to think about as we move our firm forward is expectations and things like that so that we can make sure that we're meeting those expectations. Because if we don't, part of the real world is setting expectations correctly. Because if you don't set your expectations correctly, everybody fails. So, how are we going to retool our expectations for our firm, for our customers, for our employees, so that everybody's on the same page? And I think the biggest thing is it's the real time that's the disruptor. And I think that's the piece that most people don't understand because they think, I'm going to just move my software to the cloud and that's going to make it, and they get caught in the feature and they get caught in, it does it this way or it doesn't do it this way or I want to stay on QBO desktop or QB desktop versus QuickBooks Online versus Xero or whatever. And they get caught in all the features instead of realizing how the real time is the disruption, and that's what adds the value to your client relationship or your customer relationship. And that's what's going to make you become that phenomenal accountant or that phenomenal CPA that's going to have that customer wanting more and you being able to deliver more and give them more value than a report that's, 2 weeks old the day that you print it or PDF it. The report is already obsolete. And the idea being is that communication that you have with your client, either weekly or monthly, is going to be that much more valuable because you're going to be sharing the information in real time. And that's the value of it. And that's what a lot of people don't get. It's the time is the disruptor. But that time could also create havoc for you, right? So if you tell your client or your customer that you're going to have their reports updated weekly, and when I say weekly or monthly, whatever it is, and all of a sudden you're using QuickBooks Online and you haven't reconciled something up to date because you just haven't gotten a chance to it, your client can call you out on it and say, hey, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So that goes back to expectation setting and kind of the disruption that happens in your firm when you start moving to the radical model, right? So, and I think that's the stuff people don't talk about is they talk about all the what's, but they don't talk about how all of a sudden you got quote unquote caught with your pants down because you didn't do something, because now they have a transparency and access to something that customer in the past had not necessarily seen before.